Athletes and entertainment sometimes equals superstardom. Sometimes the spotlight shines just a little too brightly. Wade Boggs was known for winning betting titles and scarfing down a ton of chicken. Erick Aybar, well, he takes the marriage chicken in baseball to an entirely new level. And Joey Bats takes his bat and his jaw to the plate a little sooner tonight, following a 5-game losing streak. How much fight do the Jays have left? Welcome to the Mark and Macy Show. We come your way every Thursday night. And Macy, how you doing this week?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. What's been going on?
Nothing. Just, the normal work grind, the life grind. The weather's starting to get a little bit nicer. So, yeah, just it. Trying to work out a little more, walk a little more, get those steps in. That's
getting those steps in.
Summer body. That's right around the corner.
and getting the lemon juice in.
Yes, the lemon juice. It's not going very well.
It's not. How hard is it to drink lemon juice?
Because I think we're on the 6th day or 5th day, and you have to drink 5 full lemon juice, 5 whole lemons, and water. It's very short.
Okay. Maybe it is a little harder than I thought.
To lemon water, good amounts of lemon water every day, rather than 5 whole lemons, 6 whole lemons, 7 whole lemons a day.
Yeah, I saw you posted something, and I didn't look at it, but it just looked like it got really crazy.
Yeah, it was too much.
So you're giving up on this, or you're going to stay with kind of the... I'm
not giving up, but I'm trying to, gradually move into how much water with lemon I consume to help. I don't know even what I'm doing it for, but because it's funny and cool, just like the Mark and Macy Show.
You're doing it for, let me remember, golf tournaments and weddings you have to attend this summer.
Yeah, you're right. Exactly.
Okay. I don't know. That's what
you're right.
Said.
You know my life better than me, Mark.
I remember what you, unlike you, I remember what you tell me.
Mark, I don't even remember what I tell myself.
Well, I remember you said that.
Nope, you were totally right there.
And I'm sorry, I totally missed it, and that's why I didn't say anything back to you. You're going for what body?
Summer body.
Oh, well, of course. Okay. Summer body. Yeah. Most people start on those a little bit late. So that's why you have to start at the first of the year. Or it should be like an ongoing thing. I'm one to talk. Yes. So what kind of car should I buy? I'm in the car buying market right now. Do you have any suggestions for me?
No, I know nothing about cars.
You know anything about cars? Do you know what cars you like?
No.
This has been my question for people all week.
Yeah, I did see that, and you posted a photo of a car in a tree or something, or on a pole.
I don't know. I just Googled junk cars and I grabbed something.
Cars that interest me? Yeah, I have no idea. I always wanted, I can't remember if it's a Land Rover or a Range Rover, but I like those. They're nice. Yeah. But that's for further down the line. I drive a little sports car now. I don't know what's cool.
Yeah, what do you got?
I have a little black Scion.
Okay, I'm going to have to look that up so I know exactly what that looks like. A Scion. Yeah, I remember shopping for one of those, not for me, but for somebody else. Yes, I remember what a Scion looks like, kind of.
Yeah,
I'll have to look it up.
Cool. It's a safe little car that I just bebop around in. Nothing too fancy, but it's nice. It works its purpose. That's kind of my thing about cars. If it gets you from point A to point B, then that's its job.
I'm glad to hear that, because you're that's being very practical. I didn't necessarily expect that. That's being very, very practical. So yeah, I was thinking about buying a new car. I was kind of going back and forth because the cheap side of me, or wait a minute, not the cheap side of me, the logical, responsible side of me was saying, I've got my car paid off and I should just keep driving and driving and driving it into the ground because I don't have a car payment. I can save all this money. But I've been kind of like, I want to buy a new car. And then the decision was made for me the other day.
Oh, no.
Yeah, somebody sideswiped me.
Oh, man. That's not good.
Yeah, so I have to buy a new car. So,
were you in the car?
What's that? Oh, yeah, I was in the car. Oh, my neck and shoulders don't feel the best, but I'm okay.
Jeez, Mark.
I'm fine.
Be careful.
Yes. I was actually, once I was standing on the side of the road for the next hour watching the police and being asked questions and on the phone with the insurance company, that was right about the time that you were telling me how great our demo reel looked.
Good. So you were
like,
driving.
Well, no. Let's not let that get into the police report because it's still kind of up in the air. No. This was on the side of the road after the accident.
I see.
So I'm looking for a car.
All right. I will keep that in mind. It was kind of bad luck for me when I got my car. It was brand new. It got hit. So after 2 weeks of having it, got smashed. So I'm really no luck when it comes to cars. I don't know. Bad luck.
Yep. Well, that's the only time you've gotten hit?
Yes.
Okay,
I crashed a car.
Yeah.
In my own driveway.
Well, that's not really a crash. You couldn't have been moving that
cars. Fast. I got them stuck together.
Oh, you hooked bumpers?
I hooked tire wheels and bumpers. Yeah. Trust me, Mark. Oh, it's really hard to figure out how it happened. Still to this day, it's a mystery, but I did it.
You did something else that I've never heard of.
Yeah. So. I had to have my brother come outside and kind of move the one car up so I can move the other car back and unhook them. Yeah.
Most people have car stories. We've all done stupid things in cars.
That's why I think practical, just in case something happens, then it's like not like I'm destroying something that costs a lot of money.
Yeah, I think practical because I would like to do other things with my money. But there's a side of me that just wants to. I texted my daughter and I said, okay, what kind of car do you want me to buy? Of course, she said a Lexus. Then I quickly said, do you want to go to college?
I mean, I get it. But when you look at rocks that hit your car while you're driving, people who open their doors into your car, shopping carts, everything else that happens to cars. Yes, I understand they say nice and you're supposed to take care of them, but there's things you can't avoid. And, if I had a really expensive car, I would be kind of upset if that got hit. Was I upset when my car got hit? Sure, absolutely. But it's not like some crazy expensive thing,
And it's also not too pleasant or happy to think about. You just bought a car for $75,000, and as soon as you drove it off the car lot, it's worth like $50,000. That's a stretch.
But it's true.
And then the other thing is that unless you got $75,000 in your pocket that you're willing to spend on a car, then you're going to pay more than $75,000 by the time you pay all the payments because of the interest. Yeah, it's not worth it. No, I'm not buying a Lexus. All right, so this is the Mark and Macy Show. We come your way every Thursday night, right around 6:45. And now Macy has another show on Blab, just blabbing it up. Macy, why don't you tell us about that?
Blabbing it up all night. No, it's called Coach and Player Magazine. It was the magazine we actually just spoke about a couple shows ago. I was featured in it, and they approached me this week. It just happened that quick, asking me to host a podcast or a blog for their website. So I said, why not? I love Blab. I love meeting new people and learning about new people, and it's kind of just what happened and what I did. So Mark, hopefully maybe you could join me for a couple shows. Maybe we can make this the Mark and Macy Show on coachandplayermagazine.com. Who knows? Who knows? So I think it's going to be good. I would love to have you guys join me. I know a few of you already did join us tonight, so that was exciting. And I hope to just, keep on rolling in the Blab world.
I listened to most of it. I watched most of it, and I was walking around and heard most of it, and I thought it was very entertaining. You had two very good guests. It was interesting to hear the second guy is some type of quarterback coach or fitness coach for the Auburn quarterback, because I only learned of this Auburn quarterback, John Franklin III, a couple of months ago, and now because I cover the SEC, I kind of know of him and his story and how he moved from Florida State to Auburn. But for you to connect with this guy now and interview him, and he was a really good interview.
Yeah, so they have been working together for a couple of years. He said he was his coach, and then he went to train him once he moved on to college, and he first originally went to Florida State. And John's just been learning and learning and learning. So Travis's job is to kind of be his mentor, physically and mentally, to keep him there in both aspects. He works on fitness stuff with him to make sure he's the fastest, to make sure he's got the right footwork, to make sure he's got it all. Because like we've always talked about, being a successful athlete in today's world is having more than one talent or skill, and it's being able to do everything. So, Travis is just working with him to really make him the best and make sure he's an all-around great athlete and player and teammate.
So next week we have an extra special guest, and it's because that he's just a great guy and he's very successful in sports television, but also an extra special guest because of there's just a special distinction that this person has that nobody ever will be able to say that they did. And I think, Macy, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, that is Phil Murphy. He will be joining us next week. Phil actually introduced me to Mark. Mark put out on Twitter that he was looking for a co-host. I think he said preferably a female, if I'm not mistaken.
I may.
And Phil immediately saw it, sent it to me, called me, and said, "You need to contact this guy right now." So I'll never forget, I was standing in Five and Below, and I called Mark, and
I don't know what that is, but
so we just chatted, and 24 episodes later, here we are. So special number 25, we will have Phil Murphy.
Oh, yes. That kind of fits. That's very cool. Join us on Twitter as well, and all our shows are on YouTube, and including now, in addition to our 23 episodes, also a demo reel. So if you've never seen us before and you want to get a feel for what we do, because we love sports, we love to break it down, but we also have a lot of fun as well. And you get kind of a feel for that in the first few minutes of our demo reel. Right, Macy, I don't know exactly where we're going to go with this, but as soon as you threw it out this afternoon, I thought, okay, this will be fun to talk about, where we take it. And so just where are you going with athletes and TV?
So I think this is definitely a conversation where it will be fun if our viewers kind of jump in and, type us up maybe some of their thoughts or shows, because there's a million shows out there with athletes on it now, whether it's reality TV or sitcoms or you name it, everything is on TV or the internet now. But one thing I guess that really caught my attention and what made me think about this was I've always been a huge Dude Perfect fan. And I thought they were probably the coolest thing since sliced bread. I watched their videos every week. I couldn't wait to see a new one. Then I saw that they had this show on CMT, the Dude Perfect show. So I'm like, oh man, I've got to check this out. Here it is. It's on Thursdays while we're doing this show. So I kind of missed Dude Perfect. So I had some time this weekend, and they were on demand. So I caught up on the show, and I watched 2 episodes. And I was highly disappointed. I think there is a thrill to watching the Dude Perfect videos. It just almost makes you want to go out and try these stunts. Like you're like, hey, I can throw a basketball off a roof and make that shot. Or, hey, I can throw a Frisbee and hit that plate. I can do that all too. The greatest one I've ever seen was they took a canoe down a escalator in Dick's Sporting Goods. Every time I go down the escalator at Dick's Sporting Goods, what do I want to do? Go down it in a canoe. That's the impact Dude Perfect had on me. But it seems that I thought their show was going to be, a lot of trick shots and fun things that they do. It was I don't know exactly how to say this, but kind of not drama filled, but it was time fillers. Like the one guy had a child, so he was like, "Oh, we need to make this place child proof if we're gonna, have the child in here." The other one was how to introduce their interns to celebrities and athletes and how to act around them. I'm not there to watch that. I hate to say it, Dude Perfect, but that's not what I'm there for. I'm there to see your trick shots, your cool things that I know I could never do. So that was kind of what the show was all about, and I was highly disappointed. I think we got one session of tricks or talent or whatever you want to call them, and that was it. So for 22 minutes, I got 2 minutes of.
Yeah. So for the first segment that you brought up, Macy, I that sounds like the most boring thing that could possibly be on television. The second, with the how to introduce your kids to athletes or entertainers, I would generally. Oh, the intern to athletes and entertainers. I would think that you would introduce them just like you would introduce them to anyone else. I'm not understanding that. I think they're probably trying not to overkill the Dude Perfect part of it, though. They want to make it special. Like, we're not just going to throw our show on where you're typically used to watching like a 3 to 5 minute video. Well, they don't want to go on for 22 minutes just doing trick shots.
But here's the thing. Like, you're on for 22 minutes. So of that 22 minutes, if you did 3 different trick shots or whatever, that would, and they were 5 minutes long, that would be 15 minutes. So you'd still have other time to play around, and do this goofy stuff in between and whatnot. But they only had one trick shot. Maybe show me the fails or things that they've attempted and didn't work out and weren't a success. Or show me different kinds of things, not let's baby-proof an office so that I can bring my child in here. Or how is, the intern going to react when he meets this player or this person? And I think that was kind of what was a little disappointing to me. And it just made me think about how so many athletes, maybe even celebrities, but we're not here to talk about celebrities, turn to reality TV or stuff like that, and it kind of brings them downhill.
We have 2 ideas, Macy, automatically that would make this show so much better. So you hit the first one right there. Once these guys establish themselves as amazing, obviously the Dude Perfect means you're perfect. So they don't want to show them screwing up while they're building a following. But now they're so iconic, it's a little strong, but so popular that, yeah, people want to see what didn't work, what failed, what was funny because it just didn't work out for whatever reason. So that's number one, because we know that they can't make those shots every time. The second thing is, yeah, if they take, let's say, 3 crazy shots each episode and do one right off the top of the show, do one in the middle, do one at the end, and have like a vote, have people vote on which one was the best one, or maybe connect them in some way, then that would keep people watching throughout the episode, and also create some engagement with some type of poll or vote.
No, I totally agree. And, even with the fails, like I mentioned that to someone else, and like you just said too, people don't want to see them fail. But like you said, they've established themselves. People know what they can do, but not the most, average people. Mark, we couldn't go pick up basketballs or footballs and do more than half the stuff they're doing. Maybe you can. I know I personally cannot. But, people tuned into the show Jackass for how many years? Because it was them attempting to do trick things and failing. And when they failed it is when people found it funnier than, what they're really setting out to do. So I think Dude Perfect could put that into their show. And I think it would kind of maybe say, okay, these guys really are normal guys, not just guys who can pick up a football and boom, done,
Macy, I think you have something there too. I think we could go out there and try this stuff, and I think that people would think it was funny that we were so horribly inept until we did it like 50 times, and it would be like, okay, we understand that it's pathetic. But I would love to see their bloopers.
I think I would have rather watched, extra minutes of bloopers than this other stuff that they filled it with. And that got me thinking. And I just wanted to maybe pick your brain about some of the athletes that went on TV shows that ruined their careers.
Okay, so I'm driving home because you threw it out there, and I thought, okay, I got to wrap my brain to think of as many instances as I can. So the Kardashians, obviously, Lamar
my
Odom.
List.
There you go. He made the list. I made my little list here. A lot of these are going to predate you by so much. Lamar Odom, though, he was first on my list. Yeah. I can't believe that. Joe Namath was a huge, this was even before my time, Joe Namath was a huge TV star beyond football, and he was really one of the first, and he did all sorts of weird things that you would have never thought that day in would be associated with, like modeling pantyhose. He did that. Have you ever heard this? You have not heard this. I'm sure that the commercials on YouTube, I guarantee Joe Namath modeled pantyhose. To basically, the point was that even a football player with hairy legs, these pantyhose are so great that yeah, that they're still smooth or whatever. But yeah, Joe Namath, and then I love the Joe Namath episode on the Brady Bunch. Are you familiar with that? Okay, there's a Joe Namath episode. I know that the Fresh Prince has had athletes on that show, but I could not. I was trying to think back to what athletes made it on Fresh Prince, but I could not remember exactly who. Peyton Manning. I can't think of any TV shows, but if we're going to extend it to commercials, obviously Peyton Manning. I don't know if, here's the thing that's so great about Peyton Manning and what they've done as an advertising campaign, all these different companies with Peyton Manning, is that I don't know if Peyton Manning's a funny guy. I think he's a nice guy, and he seems like a classy guy. When he talks after games, he's well-spoken, but he's not funny, nor do I expect him to be funny. But maybe he is funny in real life, but we don't know that. But he can pull off the script. He does that extremely well, and Peyton Manning's just built a brand around being a spokesman, probably only second to Michael Jordan. Classic, just his ads are iconic. Again, if we're going to stay the commercial brand, I wrote down Ken Griffey Jr., probably really the last baseball player that on a national stage was huge in terms of branding Nike. They haven't really latched on to anybody since then. Jeter to a certain extent, but I don't think as much as Ken Griffey Jr., who is one of my personal favorites. Then I was kind of thinking the difference between television and prior to social media. Now these athletes they have, and Reggie Jackson is a good name dropper there, Knight Rider, that there's just such a difference now with social media, and these athletes already have their own platform, where back in the day you had to be a mega star to get a commercial, to get TV appearances, to do that. And then my last one, being a New Yorker and being a Mets fan, you should appreciate Keith Hernandez made several appearances on Seinfeld and was
still gets paid a ton of money every time those episodes air. Fun fact.
So who's on your list?
Right, so I have the good, the bad, and the not sure of shows that are out there. Okay. So we'll start with the bad. Dude Perfect. Sorry, guys. Love you, but...
That's only one show, though, right? One show
two.
You saw?
So I have the Kardashians, but it runs deeper than Lamar Odom. Chris Humphries. Reggie Bush. Yes. And most importantly, Bruce Jenner.
Yeah. course.
Also another show that was Kendra on Top, which is she was the Playboy model Hank Basket. Who knows what happened to their relationship? Apparently wasn't he like dressing as a woman, and there was weird stuff about Hank Basket out there.
Wait a minute, and Hank Basket also was married to one of Hugh
that's
Hefner's
her, Kendra.
girls.
Kendra.
Yep. Oh, Kendra. I'm sorry. Yeah, and so then she spun that off into a show. I've heard of that show, but I've never seen it.
There was The Bachelor. Jesse Palmer, quarterback for the Giants. His football career after that was pretty much nothing. This season, Jordan Rodgers, who is Aaron Rodgers' brother, who is a quarterback, I think he played in the Canadian League. He is going to be on it. And they also feature Ben Roethlisberger, not as a contestant, but as one of the dates, which I think is interesting. Like last year, they had Alex Morgan and a couple different soccer girls. So they're always bringing athletes in for this show, which I don't know if I would. And then I've seen a couple on Millionaire Matchmaker as well. A couple different baseball players, football players. And it's usually guys that you're like, oh, that's where he is, looking for love.
So what's the deal with that show, Millionaire Matchmaker? What's the
so there's a woman named Patty. She runs the Millionaire Matchmaker Club, and she brings in a millionaire, and she either sets up, if it's a guy millionaire, she sets up, dates with a group of girls, and then they pick 2 women to go on dates with, or vice versa. And there's been a couple athletes who have gone on that show and looked for love.
I came up with another one, Dancing with the Stars.
So that was on my not sure category.
No. Oh, I'm sorry. I blew your whole deal here. So this is the bad.
That was the bad,
list.
And that was what I could think of for the bad. For my not sure, I had Dancing with the Stars and Celebrity Apprentice, because there were a lot of athletes that moved on to that. But did they do anything with it? I don't really think so.
Johnny Dean.
Yeah. And then for the good, The League, I know that's a sitcom show, but they do have football players and coaches as guests. I love The League, so
I don't know
it's a
what
great
that
show.
is.
It's a show about fantasy football.
Who shows this? Huh. The League about fantasy football.
Mark, you will love it. It's like borderline inappropriate. It is funny. It's about sports and football, and they make a lot of references to they usually film it throughout the season. So you could watch a game Sunday and they'll reference it that like following Thursday or whatever it's on.
So they follow like a league.
They're in a fantasy football league. This group of friends is a fantasy football league.
So what do you think I'm thinking of right now?
Our show?
Yes, our show. We pitch it to them.
Yeah.
Say we'll be your next.
Yeah, no, it's really a great show. I highly recommend it. I'm sure your son watches it. If you've got like downtime or something, it's on Netflix. It's on demand. Watch it from the beginning though, or else you're not going to understand it.
I don't have any downtime.
So I had The League. I liked, there was a show called Game On. It was Jesse and Eric Decker, kind of about their relationship and all that. Eric's still doing pretty well for himself. I can't say it's really gone bad for him so far. Hard Knocks, I think, is a phenomenal show. And 30 for 30s. I think all the 30 for 30s are usually pretty good. Even if they're bad, I don't say bad stories or tough stories about people, I think they're a good show.
You lost me at the end there, because all this was athletes going on TV, being TV stars or reality stars. And then at the end, you went documentary on me and you went something. Oh, you went documentary.
I know, but they still have to, I don't know. There's something about those two shows. Like, yeah, it's not necessarily reality TV, but Hard Knocks. Like, I feel Bill O'Brien kind of put on a different persona for that show. And, they kind of change themselves because sometimes they can't always be the person they are.
Okay. How about Saved by the Bell? The college years. I don't know what his title was on the show. Like he was the guy that was the, what do you call him? Like the house monitor or whatever. Bob Golick, who was a defensive lineman for the Cleveland Browns, and then he was a broadcaster, and he's got a radio show in Cleveland. But Bob Golick, can you picture this guy? Do you know who I'm talking about?
Not off.
Obviously a big guy, and he's got a ton of hair. And this was like, Saved by the Bell college years was like in the late 90s, something like that.
I'm going to say a little bit earlier. Well, I don't know.
Really?
I never really watched Saved by the Bell, so.
You didn't watch the original Saved by the Bell? No. You're probably a better person for it. All right. There's the list. There is another show that I saw a couple years ago, and I wish I could remember the title, but it was very funny. They brought in Ray Lewis to coach people who had temper rage issues. And I can't remember the name of this show, but they would stage this intervention, and Ray Lewis would come in, and they would put these people in situations, and they would have to deal with situations, and it was just hilarious. It was very funny. Well, I'm sorry. I'm not hearing you tonight for some reason.
I guess it didn't go very well for them if you can't remember the name and if it's obviously not on TV anymore.
Well, I don't know that it's not on TV anymore.
I'm sure it's not.
And there's really a ton more than this.
No, but it was just an interesting topic to think about, and it's something that I know both of us will continue to think about, and it will hit us, or we'll see something on TV and say, yeah. So I just thought it's interesting how much, I don't want to say control TV shows have over your life, but definitely going on reality TV and what it does to your life and changing it.
Macy, one of the first times I saw the Kardashians, I remember seeing Bruce Jenner, and I don't know that I knew that he was in their family. I don't remember, because I don't even remember why they got that show, because they were obviously famous before that, but then being on that show and having that show just exploded their popularity. But I remember thinking, and this is before the whole sex change and all that business. Did I say that correctly? But this is at the point where, yeah, he's just the ex-husband, he's the whatever, the stepdad. And I just thought, this is so pathetic. He's being like bullied by these girls. And this guy was a decathlon. He was an Olympic champion. He was like, in 1976, this guy was like on the Wheaties box. He won gold medals. And this guy's like being completely dissed and disrespected by these like,
isn't it
20-year-old girls? It was just
how
funny.
they treated him and the life he lived.
Yeah, it's very strange, very odd. Who's your favorite Kardashian?
You
have one? I thought you said you watched the Kardashians.
I do. It's like one of those what's that called when you like watch something?
It's a guilty pleasure.
Yeah. I don't have a favorite, I guess. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. We need to end the Kardashian conversation probably pretty soon, but I'm still going to take this even further because there's two things I want to say. So my favorite Kardashian is not necessarily Kim. It was at one point for certain reasons, but from a personality, I'm sorry, I'm a guy. It's not necessarily now. And I haven't seen it forever, and I don't even think she's on it now, right? Not much.
Yeah, Kim. She's like one of the main girls.
Oh, okay. I thought she kind of left home, and so she's like, I'm out of here. So I like and closed the one that was married to Lamar Odom, the big girl. I like the one in the middle girl. What's Courtney?
Yeah. I was gonna say that Courtney's my favorite too, because she's kind of
she's a little more practical, a little more down to earth.
And there's another word I want to use, but I'm not going to use it on air. she tells it how it is. And we're pretty similar with our attitudes.
And I can't come up with this word that you can't say that's like a positive
it's
thing.
not that positive.
Okay.
I just don't want to use mean language on the internet. So she keeps it real, and I mean I keep it real too. Outside of this show. So I like her. I don't know. I don't really care about them anymore. I feel like their whole thing is just spiraling out of control, and I didn't really care for the whole Bruce Jenner, Caitlyn Jenner thing, and now they're just getting too out of hand. It's not like it used to be.
Well, we want you to keep it real here too.
I try to, but sometimes your opinions aren't always appreciated. So I just keep some of my opinions, in my back pocket.
Okay. All right. I want you to keep it real.
Oh, I keep it real.
I'll take it. I can take it. I'm good. And then my last thing about the Kardashians is that the guy that I don't know if they ever got married, but her boyfriend, while I like Kourtney the best, her boyfriend, that guy was like the biggest tool in history. That guy was a clown. I don't know his name.
His name is Scott Disick.
Yes.
I actually loved him, and once he kind of left the show is when the show went downhill. So,
well, hopefully you liked him for certain reasons, just because he was funny, because he was such a moron.
That's the thing. Like, he thought he was a moron.
Well,
he called himself
yeah. He was fun
like, that's hilarious.
And then my son pointed out to me recently that he was on some video with some rap guy, and he's trying to act tough, and it was funny. We were like busting up laughing watching this. It was great.
Yeah, he's probably like kind of a strange dude in real life.
Yeah, and he's had some issues, and I have seen a few things with him that seemed a little bit more sincere, like he knew he'd made some mistakes and was trying to be better and be better for his kid. I think he's got
3.
So
they have 3.
Name? They got 3 kids, but he and Kourtney. Did they ever get married? No. Okay. And they're done, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think so. All right. This is the Mark and Macy show, and we do this every Thursday night to talk about the Kardashians.
We're just keeping up with them, Mark.
Yeah, we're trying. We're trying. You probably do much better than I do. Erick Aybar, who plays shortstop for the Atlanta Braves, was trying to keep up with his chicken eating, which you got to get your protein. And he arrived at the ballpark apparently for batting practice this afternoon with blood spewing out of his mouth and some type of shoulder ache in which he couldn't lift his shoulder. And the reason for all this is because he had a chicken bone stuck in his throat. And he had to be sedated and taken out of the clubhouse and taken to a hospital.
Just very confused by this, Mark. When I think a chicken bone is stuck in your throat, I have the idea that you probably can't breathe or you'd be choking on it. But apparently that was not the case here. So I'm interested to find out how or why it was stuck, and he was able to take himself to the ballpark. I would think that would be something you would take yourself to an emergency room or a doctor or seek medical attention right away. So I'm not too sure what to think about this situation. I think it's one of those kind of funny things that we all kind of laugh about, but if it was us, we wouldn't be laughing.
Yeah, it's not funny. If he's okay, it's funny.
I will definitely never I always have a fear of that happening to me. So now that that happened, I probably won't eat chicken wings anymore.
Yeah, I think it was eating chicken wings. I wouldn't think that I guess a chicken wing bone could be that large. I have some of the same questions, and I wasn't that curious. I was just trying to come up with interesting things, and I saw that. So I'm sorry. I let the show down, not doing significant enough research to clarify some of that. So I don't know where we stand on how. Yeah, you would think you would gag the chicken bone up before it would get to that point, but apparently not. So Erick Aybar having a rough year as it is, hitting 174, and it's gotten much worse tonight. So hopefully he's okay. Macy, do you have any bad food stories?
I don't, that at least I can think of. I do remember, and I was just talking about this the other day. I was probably like 5 or 6 years old. We were at this restaurant where we used to go all the time, and we still do. And we were there for dinner the other night. But back when we were young kids, my brother choked on a mozzarella stick. And, those things are kind of hard to eat. That melted cheese kind of just gets lodged back there. And I thought my brother was going to die and that I was not going to have a brother anymore because he was choking on a mozzarella stick. So ever since then, I've kind of had a fear of mozzarella sticks. And when I'm babysitting, I won't let kids eat them. When I have kids one day, they will not eat them until the cheese is completely like hard, like till it sits out. And that's what I do. Like if I eat a mozzarella stick, I chop it up either really small or something like that because it scared me.
Okay. At least on my end, you started to break up there at the end. So you're going to force your kids and yourself to take small bites?
Yeah, that's how I eat them now. I chop them up and I let them cool so it's not melted.
Well, then it's not that good.
I know, but I will not risk choking.
Why is it less likely to choke? Are you likely to choke if it's no longer melted? I'm not understanding.
I don't know. There's something about mozzarella cheese and the way it melts, and it's really hard to chew. And
okay,
I don't know.
All right, I accept that. I think if you go with the small bites, Macy, I think you've safeguarded yourself sufficiently. I think you're okay eating a hot mozzarella stick as long as small bites are the way you should go anyway. We all know that you should take small bites if you want to stay healthy, digest your food well, good for the metabolism, small bites, and chew frequently. A lot of chewing, right?
Yeah, learn something new every day. So
I'm not one of those people that like carve up a steak and take these huge bites of steak. I like very thinly sliced anything. So the one story that comes to mind in terms of a bad food experience for me, we've all had bad food experiences, but this one kind of professionally was that I was at like a barn grill type place, and we were going to do our sports cast from there because it was National Signing Day for college football, and I was there with the Mississippi State head football coach Jackie Sherrill, and I was doing the show from there, and I had eaten a bunch of bugles. And I mentioned bugles to you, Macy, like a month ago, and you didn't know what they were.
Aren't they like they look like little cones?
Yeah, that's exactly what they are. And since this incident, I have never had them before. Okay. What? And yeah, they're little cones, and I don't know what they taste like anymore.
Salty.
They're just kind of crunchy.
They're salty. Yeah.
Yeah, they're salty. So a salty snack. Night Rider says they're nasty. And so I remember the only reason because, yeah, they're like a corn chip. They're a corn chip. And so I had some of these bugles in the afternoon, and then I had something else. But the bugle part of it was paramount. That was the significant part of whatever I ate that afternoon. So about 10 to 6 for like a 6:20 sportscast, I'm sitting there with his coach, and I'm like sweating. I feel horrible. I'm like, I am not feeling well. And maybe 6-8 minutes before my sportscast, I had to run to the bathroom and rid myself of the bugles. And then I ran back out and did my sportscast, and I'm sure my breath smelled minty good. That's my food incident that comes to mind.
Yeah, I mean,
you're giving me that look like we should move on.
No, I mean, it's cool, man. It happens to all of us. There's a lot of foods today that I don't eat, and it's the reason why I'm a picky eater, because I've eaten it and I've gotten sick. So I totally feel your pain. There's some foods I can't even look at anymore because I've gotten sick from it. So I think we all have them. Yours are a little less common in bugles. I don't know how many people just pull them out and say, hey, who wants to have this? But like eclairs for me, can't even look at eclairs. Just thinking of them makes me sick. Every party we go to, people pull them out for dessert. Hey, look at these eclairs. Whoa, chicken parm. I don't eat chicken parm. There's so many things that I don't eat that it's tough. So be lucky yours is just bugles.
Well, because they're gross, period, or because you had a bad experience?
Bad experience.
Oh, bad experience. The chicken parm. I love chicken parm. The other thing you just mentioned, the eclairs. Yeah, I don't like those anyway. I never had a bad experience. I just don't like them.
Nope. There's some, and I won't eat. And it's funny because I love chicken cutlets, and I'm starting to like red sauce again. I didn't like it for years. And I can eat them separately, but if you even think about putting them together, forget it. But like I love eggplant parm, which you think like is the same thing, but I can't eat chicken and red sauce together. Cannot.
Yeah, veal cutlet, chicken parm, all that stuff's really good with some red sauce. All right, then we got Jose Bautista, who the game is, I'm sure, already started. But Toronto, Minnesota, pretty mundane, everyday, run-of-the-mill baseball game. But Jose Bautista, we know what happened to him last weekend. He's batting leadoff. He's the cleanup hitter for the Blue Jays, one of the best home run hitters in baseball. Batting leadoff for the first time in 6 years. The Blue Jays in this huge slump right now, losing 5 consecutive games. He's not having the best of years, hitting .222. But of course, let's go back to the fight. So that goes back to 2015 in the American League Championship Series, in which Joey Bats hits the big home run. Macy flips the bat. And if we take it from there, what do you think of the bat flip to start out? Do you think that's good sportsmanship? Doesn't matter. It's entertaining. It's what?
Well, it was one of the best bat flips I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So definitely entertaining. I don't think it was anything that was like too inappropriate or went above and beyond. It was nothing really that obnoxious. We've seen it before. We'll see it again. So it definitely, like you said, kind of stems from that, but I don't think it's something to spark what the other night turned into. I don't think it was a big enough thing to have what, we witnessed.
I was talking to this guy at work who played college baseball, and he always likes to kind of review these baseball incidents with me. And he thinks what really got the Rangers riled up was not the bat flip in and of itself. It's that the home run, and Joey just does this, and then the bat, and then this to the pitcher again. Just stared him down twice. Like stared him down, bat flip, stared him down, and that's what it was. It was the taunting.
Again, it's taunting, yes. Have we seen worse? Yes. Will we see worse? Yes. But I understand. I understand why you would get angry or fed up. But I think you made a really great point earlier. Don't give up that home run.
Yeah. You're big boys. You should be able to take a little staring and a bat flip. It's not like anything physical is happening, like he's throwing the bat at you.
Right.
He's throwing it off to the side.
Yeah. I don't.
So if we fast forward to just last weekend, Macy, then we have a situation where the Rangers aren't going to enact their revenge last year during the playoffs because the games are too important. And then they start playing this series this year, and I guess they waited until the final game of the series for some reason. So then they threw at Bautista. And here's the next issue I have with this. But I'll first ask you, how do you think the rest of it played out? And do you have any issue with the way it played out? Bautista gets hit. He goes down to first base. He kind of walks toward the mound, but not a big deal. He basically goes to first base. Then he slides hard at second, and that's when Odor took exception. Bats jumped up. I keep calling him Bats. Jumps up and kind of gets in his face, and then bam comes the right to the jaw.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it could have been avoided, but it goes back to the pitching. If Joey Bats didn't get hit, maybe this wouldn't have happened or happened as quickly as it did. But again, he shouldn't have maybe, walked out a little bit towards the plate. He should have just taken first base, and then the slide into second is questionable. So I think it's pretty fair for both sides. I think both parties are to blame. If I was Joey Bats and I got hit for being hated for my success against your team, hey, I'm going to have a little bit of an attitude, but at the same time, be the better person and, be the better athlete. The punch, I think, was so unnecessary. That was not just, a hit. That was the hat, the glasses, everything went flying. I watched it in slow-mo on repeat 100 times. So it's a little excessive there. And I just don't expect that in the game of baseball. Hockey, yes. Baseball, no.
What's the difference between hockey and baseball? Why is a punch okay in one sport and it's not in the other?
Because hockey is like the fighting sport. I don't know.
Okay. All right.
I'll
let you off.
That's just like what you expect for hockey. Like there's 5.
I know you expect it, but should it be that way?
I mean, like in the NFL, if you fight, you're pretty much kicked out, right? So if you're in hockey, you get 5 for fighting. Like you just get thrown in the box and you're brought back out. Like it's part of the sport of hockey. It's not part of the sport of baseball. I don't consider baseball much of a quote unquote, I guess, contact sport. If that.
Oh, everything that you're saying is totally true and makes total sense, but it's about the culture. Yeah. Fighting is the culture of hockey, but it's not necessarily the culture in baseball. But if you boil it down to just these are professional sports and there are grown men involved in those sports, why should a punch be allowed and be okay in one sport and not in the other? Because we're not talking about the actual action of the sport on the playing surface of what is allowed based on how the sport's played. We're talking about taking a swing at somebody. I would either think that's acceptable or it's not acceptable.
Oh, I mean, I agree with you there. I don't think it should be acceptable anywhere because you shouldn't really hit anyone anytime, no matter what the situation is. But I don't know. I guess it just doesn't seem. I guess it's like acceptable for hockey, and you expect it in hockey. You don't accept it or expect it in baseball. But we do see it though. People charge the mound. People, Chase Utley do dirty things. They slide into people. They, dirty things happen in baseball. But that was excessive.
And speaking of charging the mound, Macy, here are the 2 things that Jose Bautista did wrong. And I hope he doesn't hear this and unfollow me on Twitter. Is that the first thing that he should have done is, okay, he did what the Rangers the Rangers took offense to last year with the bat flip and the stare down. Okay, everybody knew that there was going to be retaliation at some point, and the retaliation is always throwing at the batter. So at some point he knew they were going to throw at him. So what does typically is baseball tradition and kind of the unwritten rule is that if you get thrown at and you think it's uncalled for, what do? Well, the pitcher threw at you. Even though the pitcher's not making that decision, he's doing what he's supposed to do. You go charge the mound. He didn't charge the mound. So I thought he had made his decision, not that I was watching the game, but in the aftermath and adding up the chronology of this, that he had made his decision right there. This is over. I did my thing. They got back at me, and usually the score's settled and the 2 teams are okay with it. So he didn't charge the mound. He goes down to first base, and then the next play, he's sliding and taking out the second baseman. So then the next thing Bautista did wrong, in my opinion, is he takes out the second baseman, and he didn't just get up and start. He has his next opportunity to do something and get his revenge, and he takes it. Okay, well, it should have been even then. But no, he gets up and gets in Odor's face. He like gets up and he's like right in his face, like, and he thinks this is going to be a shoving match, I guess, and didn't realize this is going to be a serious fight. And that's when he learned his lesson, I guess. But it's not like I'm taking him out. I'm going to get up like I would any other time I get thrown out at second base and just drop my head and run toward the dugout. He's like, boom, in his face, basically chest to chest, ready for some action.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure once he got to first base, like he said, he just kind of went there and didn't take action, but maybe things were said. They could easily be saying things out there where he said, okay, I tried to keep my cool. I tried to keep it under control, but I'm being hated for being talented and doing what I'm here to do. So maybe he just went crazy and said, you know what, forget this. We're going to make something of it. We're going to fight back. And he's slid into second. He got in his face and he got hit.
That's the deal.
And hopefully
it's over now
because both teams have gotten a piece of each other at this point.
Absolutely.
All right, this is the Mark and Macy Show. We come your way every Thursday night at around 6:45, and this is our 24th show, and we've got a very special guest next week. So please join us for that. And if you didn't hear Macy's description early in the show, you're just going to have to tune in next week and find out why this person is so special to this show in particular. Not that he's not a special person anyway, but especially to our show. All right, so we talked about the Kardashians tonight almost as much as we talked about Tim Tebow like the first 5 weeks of the show. So I don't know what that says. Knight Rider had fun. I feel like we did our job if Knight Rider had fun.
Absolutely.
Good stuff. All right, join us on YouTube. And again, we not only have our soon-to-be 24 episodes there, but we also have our demo reel, so you can get a kind of a feel real quick in 5 to 10 minutes about what we're all about here, and also follow us on Twitter as well. All right, Macy, it was fun.
It was a blast. Looking forward to next week.
Okay.
Have a good one, everyone.